Hello, and thank you for joining us here on the Neutral Zone. I am Phil Milani, joined as always by my trusty sidekick, my partner in crime. Really, the best way to describe this person is my everything.
Phil, I saw some people on YouTube say that I looked uncomfortable
That
during the
is
introduction.
true.
And so I tried to look as comfortable as possible there because I'm not uncomfortable.
Relaxed.
Relaxed. Accepting.
It's at Eric Delisle.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah. A little mixed reviews on our last intro there on YouTube. People really like it. Some people really hate it. So I guess we're doing something right.
Yeah, I think that polarizing is good, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's what all the best podcasters do.
Exactly.
So, of course, this is the final Neutral Zone before the NFL draft.
You worried me there with your long pause.
No. Before the NFL draft.
Okay, I thought it was the final one ever.
No. Don't be ridiculous.
That would never happen.
I'll do one on my deathbed.
Yeah. And then I'll just keep playing like recordings of your voice.
Yeah,
and be
forever.
Like, I agree, Eric.
Why do you think I'm going to die before you?
Well, you're like 30 years older than I am.
Maybe we'll go out together.
Yeah, that's like I can't live without you.
Yeah, exactly. Eric, how are you feeling, though? The draft here, as we're recording this on a Wednesday afternoon, just one day away now.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's somewhat of a lack of buzz, right? Because you go into last year's draft, you have the 9th overall pick, everyone's thinking quarterback, and so you're kind of, you go into that morning, you're like, is the fate of the franchise going to change here this evening or this afternoon? I don't think anything could happen tomorrow as we're recording this, tonight as people are probably listening to this. I don't think anything could happen that would change the fate of the organization or the trajectory of the franchise. And so for that reason, it's not quite the same level of buzz, but you're a contender. You're going to add some players that can contribute hopefully this year, make you a better football team, put you in the mix. It's possible that somebody you get here over the next couple of days, Phil, makes a big play in a playoff game or helps you beat the Chiefs and clinch the AFC West. Like, there's still a lot at stake here. It just doesn't have quite the same level of buzz.
If you remember last year, about an hour before the start of the draft, that's when we first started hearing rumors, some speculation that Aaron Rodgers might want out, might want to come to Denver. That's when that first started, and that was I was going crazy. You were going crazy. I think NZ Nation was going crazy. I'm not expecting anything quite that crazy this year.
No, and even the day before the draft or 2 days before the draft, the Broncos traded for Teddy Bridgewater, so there was kind of action on that quarterback front. It went from, hey, Drew Lock is the unquestioned guy, or he's going to just have to fend off a rookie, to all of a sudden there's somebody else here with starting experience. So a lot changed in the lead up to the draft. It's just not quite the same, but again, it's still important even if it doesn't get the same amount of buzz.
And I think that it's better to be in a more stable situation.
Oh, sure. I mean, look at teams like the Chiefs
Pittsburgh.
So you're going the other
stable.
way. Oh, they're stable. Well, they need a quarterback probably.
Well, yes, but I'm just saying consistency, nothing crazy happening. They just draft their players.
Right. But, I mean, you look at some of the Bills, you're not like, oh, my gosh, what are the Bills going to do this year?
Exactly,
you're just like, they're good.
And when you're really good and you're picking at the end of the first round, too, there's not any buzz. So,
and, it's a good year to not have a first-round pick. We've talked about that a lot. A lot of teams are saying they have 15 players that have first-round grades. If you're going to pick a year to not pick in the first round, not pick until the late second round, when you kind of reach that clump of players, it's all jumbled up. It's a good year to do it.
Yeah. I mean, a day away from the draft, and we still have no idea who's the first overall pick.
They told me, but
Oh, really?
I'll tell you after.
Jacksonville told you that?
Yeah.
Really? Huh? Doug Peterson, you were like, hey, Doug, what's going on?
I've got a source inside the building.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Cafeteria person.
Can't really talk about it, though.
No, I can't give too much away.
Yeah. We'll give our final predictions here for who the Broncos might select, around 7 o'clock maybe on Friday night. You think it'll be
I think later than that, right?
Well, the draft, I think, starts at 5 p.m. Mountain Time on Friday.
Oh, then maybe around that time.
So maybe right around that time.
Could be.
The number 64 overall pick. It's the final pick of the second round. That's where the Broncos are right now. We'll give our final predictions. We've talked a lot about the draft.
You nailed it last year.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Of course.
Thanks, Eric.
I'll give credit where credit is due.
That was a good reminder. I think I also said something about Javonte, too.
I got the Baron Browning, if you remember that.
You got the Baron. Yeah, you got the Baron. That was good. We kind of
almost more impressive to get the 3rd round pick, right? You were like, who's Baron Browning?
I nailed that Jonathan Cooper, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
who's Baron?
I really think Kerry Vincent Jr. is coming up here.
Yeah. You have a source in our building, too?
No.
Oh, okay. Interesting. And then the other big news this week, the Broncos bringing back Melvin Gordon for another year. The big running back, nice complimentary piece to Javonte Williams, back for another year. We're going to discuss which signing was a bigger deal here, Melvin Gordon or Kareem Jackson, who is he going to be starting this year, Eric?
Why wouldn't he be?
Yeah, okay, got it. Yeah, I don't know.
Why would anybody ask that?
I heard something about that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about who is a bigger signing. And then, of course, we have voicemails.
Of course.
Eric, if somebody wanted to leave a voicemail, like our good friend Tom Agnetti does every week.
Thank you, Tom.
Wink, that's one of the voicemails coming up. Wink,
I get
wink.
it.
Yeah.
I get it.
How would somebody do that, Eric?
Well, you could call it. You pull out your telephone. Could be your cell phone. Could be a rotary phone.
I was going to say payphone, maybe.
Payphone. Yeah, maybe you're.
When have you seen?
I don't want to get traced.
Yeah,
maybe you're on vacation over in London. Oh. You pull out you go into one of those red telephone booths. Like a Doctor Who situation.
Yeah.
You dial us up. The number might change from the international standpoint. Maybe you dial 1.
Yeah, country code 1.
Yep. 707 neutral. It'll connect you right to us.
Don't ask why 707.
No, we don't know.
No, we don't know.
It's because John Elway.
Yeah.
0, John Elway.
yeah, that's so easy
neutral.
To remember.
Yeah.
We wanted 777, but
right. They said no.
It was taken.
Yeah, John had that.
Yeah, exactly.
Then
we wanted 007. That was also taken.
Kind of a bummer.
James Bond, I think.
Daniel Craig.
Yeah. Formerly.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
But you don't have to talk to anybody. You just you leave a message. We'll play it right here on the air. If you don't want to even do that, Phil, maybe your voice is hoarse.
Yeah, you've been screaming at your TV.
Just been screaming like, pick this guy. Pick him. Pick him.
Yeah.
No voice left. You send an email. Leave an email.
Leave an email. How do you do that?
neutralzoneshow@gmail.com.
That's a good way to do that.
We'll read that right here on the air as well.
We haven't had too many emails recently, so that would be nice to get one
maybe
of those.
Ben Swanson.
Yeah. Hard to get through with Ben Swanson.
Yeah.
Then you could also hit us up directly on Twitter at Eric Dalala with an A, at Phil Milani with a PH. Those are non-traditional spellings.
Right. Just like our new friend Zach, who left a voicemail last week.
Yes, Zach, Z-A-C.
Non-traditional spelling.
Yeah. He fit right in with us.
He did.
Yeah.
And
non-traditional
keep asking Phil for a sticker.
I got to get those.
He'll get you those.
Yeah. We finally got a big shipment.
Big shipment. You should have seen the size of this box.
Yeah. Came from overseas.
It's as big as your head.
It was a long voyage to get here. Rerouted several times.
Kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
When that barge kind of got turned around, you remember that? That was kind of the beginning
in
of
the canals, it was all
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be a long
At that point,
trip.
it just seemed bad.
Yeah. But then they finally showed up here.
They're here.
So we'll be getting those out.
Perfect.
Don't you worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Okay?
And if people aren't happy with the shipping time, you can have a refund.
Eric, now that we're thinking about it.
Because they're free.
Now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah. The Broncos don't have a first-round pick. It might be a nice time to get those out.
That's true.
Just watch the draft a little, write some letters. Could be nice.
Have a cup of tea. Sit back by the fire.
Yeah. Just relax a little bit.
Get your penmanship going.
Yeah. My penmanship more like a doctor's. I am kind of like a doctor, a doctor of football. So.
Where'd you get your medical degree?
Yeah. Guadalajara.
That's a good spot.
Yeah. Eric, one other way you could get through to us is on YouTube.
I've been trying to get through to you for a long time, Phil. It's not working.
You leave a nice little comment there.
Yeah, on YouTube.
I read all the comments.
We do.
I love the comments. And then while you're there on the Broncos official YouTube page, just smash the subscribe button. Yeah. Yeah, that was good.
Smash it.
Yeah, smash that subscribe button. And then we'll read those right on the air.
We will.
All right, Eric, time to jump into our first topic of conversation on this episode of the Neutral Zone. We want your prediction for the Broncos' first pick in this year's draft.
Just had to stretch real quick and get ready for it.
Yeah, I
So
know
I'm
it's
not
a
even
big-
going to hedge this time.
Really?
I hedged on our previous show.
Yeah, when we were in the studio.
Yeah. The video studio. This is our podcast studio.
This is the podcast studio. That's the video studio.
Exactly. There I said, if Bernard Ryman's on the available.
Bernhard.
Sorry. If he's available,
Yeah.
I think the Broncos will go that direction, get a
be
nice
nice.
tackle.
Yeah.
It looks like based on the mocks, he's going to be gone potentially in the first round.
Yeah.
So
we're
I was
getting
just
some
I was
first
being
round.
kind of a silly boy, I think,
Yeah.
which I can do from
You
time
tend
to
to.
time.
Yeah.
Just
tend to do
silly.
that. Yeah.
So I'm going to go. Not gonna. Do you want a drum roll? Or you know. I'm gonna go with Nick Bonito
You like Nick
out of Oklahoma.
Yeah, you're a big fan.
Can never have enough edge rushers, as George Payton has said. He thinks it's the strength of this class. Obviously, Randy Gregory, he's not practicing right now, shoulder in a sling.
Yeah.
Bradley Chubb, final year of his deal. But kind of unrelated to either of those things, as George Payton said, Nick Bonito could just, let's be clear here, George Payton did not comment on Nick Bonito. He said if they add an edge rusher, it's not related to those guys, but Nick Bonito's a really good player, and I think he would find his way onto the field, think he'd be valuable. And listen, if you're going to beat the Chiefs, if you're going to beat the Chargers, if you're going to beat even the Raiders, you need guys to get to the quarterback. You got to be able to take these guys down. You got to put pressure on people in the playoffs if it gets to that. And so the Broncos cannot have enough people there. And if Bradley Chubb has to miss a couple games or Randy Gregory has to miss a couple games, Nick Bonito's a guy that can step right in. He could be a future starter there for you.
Our friend of the show, Daniel Jeremiah,
Yeah.
he called him a poor man's Von Miller.
He said it would be a home run for the Broncos if he's there at 64.
Home runs are good, right?
Home run, I think so.
I asked the Rockies. I'm not sure. I think those are good.
I think they know.
They know that they're good. I agree with you, Eric. I remember last year when George Payton just got to Denver, he was talking about the importance of pass rushers and secondary.
Yeah.
He said you gotta be able to get after the quarterback and you gotta defend the pass. And we've seen the Broncos really load up in the secondary. I do think that a pass rusher makes a lot of sense.
And I would not rule the Broncos going up to get him. George Payton has said that was one of the most telling things in his pre-draft presser. You can't wait for things to happen. You've got to make things happen. You've got to push the issue a little bit. And so whether that's trading back and getting more picks or moving up to get a guy, if he's there at like 52 and you can get up there by just saying, hey, here's pick 116, and we've heard that these picks may not be worth as much as they have been in previous years, or it may not take as much to get up there. If a guy like Bonito, and who knows who they like, but if somebody they like is falling in that 50-ish range, there was no fear to go get Javonte Williams.
Yeah.
And I don't think there'll be fear to go get a guy, especially you've been waiting. You don't get to pick Thursday. You wait all day or all through the first half of the second round on Friday. If a guy is there, wouldn't surprise me to see them jump up 10 spots.
The interesting thing, Eric, to pay attention to this weekend, at least something I'll be watching, is how aggressive George Payton is, because the Broncos next year only have 4 draft picks. They have 9 this year, 4 next year. And if the Broncos are good, there's no reason for them to sell any players. It's going to be hard to acquire draft picks next year.
Right.
So that'll be interesting to see if a guy that they really believe in, say it's a Nick Bonito or something like that, are they willing to even sacrifice a pick from next year? That's going to be something to pay attention to, because 4, that's not a lot of picks.
Well, and there's if I had to bet, there's going to be some sort of trade down on day 2.
Yeah.
Because even if you, say you stay at 64, you still got to get more picks for next year. So if, you need a third round or a fourth rounder for next year to move back 10 picks, I could see them doing that. Certainly if you take 116 and 64 to move up into the 50s, then I think there's almost no chance you pick at 75. I think you're moving back,
Yeah,
to the mid 80s or
you got to balance
high 90s
next year.
You got to even this year, right? Like if you're using 2 picks this year and George wants 10 picks this year, you got to trade back later to get more picks.
Yep.
And the way you're most able to do that is on day 2 with a second or third round pick. So regardless of if there's a trade up, I do think a trade down is coming at some point on day 2.
Yeah.
Georgia just said too many times, hey, we want 10 picks. We want 10 picks. I think they're going to do that at some point.
Right now, the Broncos have 5 picks in the top 116.
Yep.
Which in this year's class is really the meat of the draft. That's a sweet spot where you want to be there. And even talking to our friend Jeff Legwald, he said that in this year's class, some teams might have a grade on a player that's like 30 picks different. So like even at 64, the Broncos might get a player there that they had ranked like, in the first round possibly.
Yeah.
So
a
high second round, like it's possible that kind of swing is going to be happening this year. So the player that I mentioned the Broncos might pick, my prediction, if you will, is Alabama linebacker Christian Harris. He's a guy who's right now in some of these mocks or high second round, maybe like really late first round, somewhere in there. I just think, with veteran minicamp going on this week, voluntary veteran minicamp.
Very voluntary.
It's very voluntary. When you're out there and you see on the field, like, the guys actually in person, you kind of start to get a better feel of like, gosh, maybe this area needs a little bit of help. Like certainly it was like that when I saw the running backs.
Yeah.
I was like, when they were doing special teams, the only running back left was Javonte Williams.
Right.
And he was just kind of like doing some drills all by himself on the side.
He looked sad.
He looked kind of sad.
Lonely.
And that he mentioned in the press conference on Tuesday, he said, I've been talking to Mel.
He kind of broke it. Javonte Williams had it first.
Yeah. Please come back. I'm lonely, So I think that maybe inside linebacker is one of those areas where the Broncos might need a little bit of help, especially if, what's going to be interesting here is what their plans are for Baron Browning.
Right.
That's going to determine maybe where more of the need is. Hopefully the coach has got a better idea of that, or, the personnel department, they got a better idea of where their needs really are.
I think individual group drills, he was working with the outside guys for the most part. So
they want to see how he can do there. As a player, I think you'd rather be an outside linebacker than an inside guy just because you're slated in a higher contract situation there.
And you can just pin your ears back and go. You don't have to worry about coverage and assigning the plays and you just run at the quarterback.
Sack dances.
Yeah, that's true.
Middle linebackers don't really dance too much.
You ever heard of Ray Lewis?
Yeah, he danced when he came out because he was like, that's my only time to dance.
He was like, I got to do it now.
Famously, he said, that was my only chance to dance.
Right.
So he has to do it there. So
it's true.
It'll be interesting. I think Christian Harris could be an excellent fit. Anytime you get a middle linebacker from Alabama, you know that you're probably getting a well-coached player, guy with a high motor. And, Eric, that would make it 3 years in a row that the Broncos' first pick in the draft was an Alabama player.
That's true. It's a good
fact.
The other two,
pretty good. Pretty good.
They
look pretty good. Time to maybe have a little bit of a plug with the Pat Surtain. Check out the Back Home. We went back to Plantation, Florida.
Nice.
Yeah, spent a day with Pat Surtain again.
For those of you who are really dialed into the neutral zone, you and I recorded a poolside edition of the neutral zone.
When we were in Florida.
Yep. You went straight from there to Plantation, Florida. You kept working. You kept grinding.
Yeah. I mean, it just really never stops.
Yeah, I came back to the office because I was like, I haven't been near my desk a few days. Had to plug back in,
lost.
Recharge.
Yeah, exactly. But you are starting to get down to like, what, 20%?
Yeah, it was not good.
Yeah. Did you go into low power mode?
Power save mode, yeah.
Power save mode, yeah.
And I don't like to do that.
No.
I type slower at that when I'm on low power mode.
And sometimes if you don't do anything for a couple of seconds, you'll just shut off.
Yeah,
You'll just go blank. Yeah. And then you have to get restarted.
Yeah, and then I come back.
Yeah. That's how you know. How many days does it take you to get to that? Like five usually?
Yeah, I'd say 5.
Yeah, and then you got to get plugged back in.
Right. That's why I sleep under my desk because the charging port is right there.
Yeah. It's just like an electric car.
Yeah.
Same exact situation.
Pretty similar.
Yeah. And when you're on the road, it can get dicey.
Yeah, it's tough.
Not
Not every hotel has one of those.
yeah, exactly.
I need like one of those adapters.
A nice business hotel, usually.
They do.
Usually do, yeah. So those are our two predictions. Nick Benito, Christian Harris. We'll see if one of us comes.
Yeah, we'll see. It's hard to predict what he's going to do.
Crystal ball. We don't know.
Very hard at 64 to figure out exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah. But those are
that's
quickly,
our best guess.
We went over this last week, but positions in need, edge rusher, maybe some spot in the secondary,
inside linebacker, right tackle.
Yeah,
those stand out as the big ones.
And edge rusher is very deep in this year's draft, so you can still get a really good player.
You don't have to do it there at 64.
Yeah, but you could still get a really good player at 64.
It's true,
especially if some of these quarterbacks.
Yeah, if you're a Broncos fan, I think you want the quarterbacks to go.
Yeah, because that helps position
pushes everybody else down.
Exactly.
And maybe you want to run on wide receivers,
positions you don't need.
Right. A run on safeties.
Who do you think the first quarterback taken is going to be?
Ooh, Kenny Pickett.
Really?
Yeah.
To Carolina, or what do you think?
I think safe. Yeah, I think Carolina can make some sense.
Interesting. Top 10 pick.
Yeah.
I kind of.
Where's Pittsburgh? They're at like 18.
Yeah.
Maybe they move up to get Kenny Pickett.
Ooh, I was gonna say maybe Malik Willis.
Yeah.
A lot of upside there.
Definitely.
And we've seen some guys with high upside pay off recently. So.
Sure.
Like a Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Those guys had high upside, and they were selected, and boom.
We'll see what happens.
Baker Mayfield also is going to be interesting to pay attention there.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets moved or something happens this weekend. So, one way or another, the Broncos are going to be a better team after this weekend.
I hope so.
So
that's the goal.
I think that's true. So, let's move on to topic number 2 here on this episode of the Neutral Zone, and that is, who is the bigger free agent signing, if you will? Who's a bigger player that was brought back to the Broncos this offseason? Melvin Gordon or Kareem Jackson?
Yeah, let me start by saying that George several times said, listen, there's a lot of guys we'd like to bring back. You can't bring them all back. He did a pretty good job of bringing a lot of the key guys back.
Yeah.
Kareem Jackson, Melvin Gordon, Deshaun Williams, Josie Jewell, to name just a few, Calvin Anderson. He brought all those guys back.
Yeah.
I think kind of an impressive and strategic way of doing it. They didn't bring Melvin and Kareem back right away. They saw what the market looked like. They evaluated everything, and then they said, okay, it's time to make these moves.
Yeah.
So a little bit of kudos there in terms of bringing back some good veteran players. I will say I think Kareem is the bigger addition just because he's a starter. I would expect Melvin and Javonte, even though they're going to share the load, I would expect Javonte is going to be the starter and probably be that 1A guy. Kareem is going to start back there, I would think. He himself was asked, are you still an every down player? And he said, why wouldn't I be? It's clear that Ejiro Evero still has a lot of faith in Kareem Jackson and what he brings to the team. And I just think there was too much unknown. You're in win now mode, right? If you're the Broncos defense, do you want to turn over kind of an important position to Caden Stearns going into his second year and just hope that he can make that jump alongside Justin Simmons? Or do you want the known commodity where hey, we know what we're going to get from Kareem Jackson. There's going to be no breakdowns. He's a guy that can read young quarterbacks and intercept passes. He's a guy that's going to come up and lay the hammer in the run game. We know exactly what we're getting from Kareem. He pairs well with Justin Simmons. And we're not leaving anything to chance there because I do think if Caden Stearns were that guy, not that Caden's not up to the task, but it would have just been a big question going into the season. With Kareem, I think that question is gone. And you heard Tim Patrick say it on Wednesday. He was that final piece that we were missing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that bringing back Kareem is a good example of this team's in win now mode.
Yeah.
That's a move that, you start filling some of these holes a little bit with veteran guys who've been here. You start saying, do you want a second-year player who looked pretty good last year? That interception he had against Dak Prescott was really nice.
Really great.
You could have played him there, but if you're in win now mode, you want just a solid piece there. And I think it's important to remember that Kareem Jackson was a cornerback in Houston for a long time. Then as you start to get older, maybe you're not quite as fast. Transition to safety, he's still plenty fast to play safety. And at the safety position, knowledge is really important too. Understanding route concepts, identifying what's happening on the offensive side of the ball, really crucial. Those things are going to be in Kareem Jackson's favor, so he could still lay a huge hit. He's a nice complementary piece with Justin Simmons. So I think that bringing Kareem Jackson made a lot of sense. I really liked that move. And he said he came back maybe even to make a little run at a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, he's got something to prove. He said just because I'm over 30 doesn't mean I can't play. He thought his film spoke for itself, and I think he feels kind of disrespected that more teams weren't interested. He said he had some options, but this one made the most sense. And I just like that when a guy's been here for 3 years and you've gone through some of the stuff that he's gone through, on the field, that he gets a chance here to kind of see it through, because you do feel bad when a guy goes through the bad years and then the team becomes good and
then he's not there anymore.
He just never got to experience that. You feel a little bad for those guys. And so Kareem is a guy I've always enjoyed talking to in the locker room, just from a personal standpoint. And so for him to be back, I think it's good from that element as well. He's an emotional leader of the team. Sets an example for these guys, how to play, how do you take care of your bodies. And, Coach E said that was a big element of as well. Yeah.
And K-Jack TV. I think fans are a big fan of that. They miss it. Big fan of that. All that being said, Eric, I do think that bringing back Melvin Gordon was a bigger move.
Okay.
If you ask me just personally. His production on the field can't be really questioned. I mean, he had more than 900 yards last season, 8 touchdowns. The year before that, 9 touchdowns. This guy has a nose for the end zone, Eric. That's a skill that you have, You just got to sort of it's not just like bulldozing a guy in. There's a little bit of a craft to it.
You wiggle.
Yeah, and he knows how to wiggle, okay? And I agree with you that Javonte is 1A, I think. And if you ask me, I think that it's probably going to be, instead of 50-50 like it was last year, more like maybe 65-35.
Okay.
Is what I would think. Maybe 60-40. Somewhere around there. And I think that allows Javonte to be Javonte, which is really crucial if you ask me. The way that he runs, the power, the breaking all the tackles, he's allowed to do that because he's not carrying the ball 40 times, 30 times a game. He can run like that because he's splitting carries with another guy. He did that with Michael Carter at UNC. He did that last year with Melvin Gordon, and I think that allows him to be Javonte Williams, which I think that this offense is really going to need. It's going to need a lot of production from the backfield, and I think that even just on his own, Melvin Gordon is a very talented player. Obviously played at Wisconsin with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was very excited. He said, put out a nice little tweet. Said, we got a stable.
Tweet?
Yeah. So I think that if you're talking about missing pieces, you bringing back Melvin Gordon, that's another sign to me that this team is in win-now mode.
Yeah, and let me tell you why I like this move. It's because if Javonte Williams gets hurt, knocking on wood.
Oh my!
Knocking on wood. Not long term. Like he misses a game.
I still don't like it.
Okay, sorry.
I still don't like it.
Javonte Williams misses a game. Are you willing to rely on Mike Boone or a rookie running back from the draft to be the focal point for a team that has championship aspirations? To me, I'm not willing to make that concession. In part because, is that player talented enough to, hey, if we need to run this, run the ball to grind the clock out. You heard Ejiro Evero say, I think this can be one of the best running games in the NFL. Do you trust someone behind Javonte Williams to take that on? And my answer with a rookie running back is, and apparently the Broncos' answer as well, is probably not. And the second element of that is pass protection. We heard George Payton say rookie running backs have a hard time learning that. You've got to protect Russell Wilson at all costs. And so if Javonte Williams is not in the game, who do you trust to pick up a linebacker? Who do you trust to chip a defensive end? If it wasn't one of those guys, if it's not a rookie, again, you're kind of in a little bit of a bind there. And so I like bringing Melvin Gordon back, who you know everything about. You know his good qualities. You know the not-so-good qualities.
He has fumbled a little bit. He's got a little bit of a
You know when to feature him. You know he can break that long one, kind of get through the hole, and quickly get to the end zone. Those are all things that stand out to me as positives. My few questions about it, which is why I think Kareem kind of stands out to me, is you mentioned keeping Javonte fresh, but does it also limit him? Because if you mentioned 65-35, I don't know if it'll be that. That's like what Melvin Gordon and Philip Lindsay were, 65-35. Exactly. And I have a little bit of a hard time imagining it's going to be that different.
Maybe 60-40.
Yeah, and so, if Javonte has a really good first series, are they going to allow him to go back out there and run it again? Or is it, hey, it's Melvin's series?
I don't know. I mean, and that is it's a new coaching staff, so you're not really sure what their philosophies are on how they'll handle some of these situations. But I don't think that they'll try to limit Javonte in that way, that it's like he's got a hot hand or something, take him out of the game. I don't think they'll do that.
Because I think something, especially a big back like Javonte, the benefit is that as the game goes on, like a Derrick Henry, it gets harder and harder to tackle that guy.
You get stronger.
If you've met Javonte Williams in the hole 15 times already, and it's cold outside and you're losing and you need to stop and your offense can't score. Like, we've seen the Broncos be on the other side of that.
Yeah.
If you're a defense, are you willing to continue to put your body on the line against Javonte Williams? And I hope that having Melvin back, it's a delicate balance, because you don't want to wear Javonte out, but you also want him to be able to get into that rhythm where he's running over people, where he's finding kind of that rhythm of the game, because it can take guys some time. Now,
did you think that Javonte had a good year last year?
Yeah, great year.
Yeah, I think that if he had last year's production, but maybe just a touch more, that's what I think you're hoping for, and Melvin should allow him to do that.
Yeah, I would say that there were times when I wish they would have just rolled with Javonte
a little more.
And there were times when, and this is a good thing too, there might be games where, Javonte doesn't have it, or, hey, against this front, it's not working for Javonte.
Yeah.
We need somebody a little shiftier. Put Melvin in there, maybe get him going. That did work well with Melvin Gordon and Philip Lindsay.
Yeah.
Where there were times when Melvin just couldn't get anything going, and Philip Lindsay came in there and played well.
Yeah.
Some games, Philip Lindsay couldn't do anything. Melvin Gordon came in there and played well. Having that option is good, but Javonte is just such a talented player. You've invested in him by trading up. I want to see him be featured. I want to see him kind of be that, as close to a bell cow running back as possible. And I still think he's going to get carries. In Green Bay, Aaron Jones was that main guy. They had some other options, but Aaron Jones
was the main guy.
But all that being said, I just lean towards Kareem, because there's fewer questions about what happens now. Because the other part is, I assume they've talked to Melvin about what his role will be.
Yeah.
And it's fine in April, I'm sure. When you get to October,
disgruntled.
Well, I just don't. Melvin is a guy that views himself as a starting running back in this league.
Yeah.
If Javonte gets off to a hot start and all of a sudden it's Javonte has 20 carries and Melvin has 8, we saw Philip Lindsay get a little frustrated as the year went on. How does that play out here? That's just something to keep an eye on. I just think there's fewer question marks with Kareem, and Kareem's coming in to start, whereas Melvin is coming in, presumably, we think.
Well, I mean, we haven't seen Caden Stearns really rise up to the same level like Javonte has risen up. But what if Caden Stearns has a really good training camp?
Yeah, then
do you know what I mean? Then the same sort of things could be coming up.
But I don't,
you know what I mean?
I think there's not a lot of question that Javonte is going to start, and so I think Melvin came back probably
understanding
what his role is, whereas I would think Kareem would only have come back here if he had the understanding, I'm going to start.
Yeah, but it's a long season.
It is a long season.
Happen. And I think that if you want to win, you got to have a lot of good players. So having these types of issues, a good thing.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing to me is people are like, is bringing Melvin Gordon back a good thing? Because he could potentially take carries from Javonte. Well, if he's taking carries from Javonte, that means he's a really good back.
Something good.
And you want good players on your team. You're far worse off without Melvin Gordon than you are with him. And so I don't understand that argument of the Broncos would just be better off moving forward with Javonte, let him be the guy.
I think they are going to let him be the guy.
Seems like they have a good relationship. I don't think this is going to stunt his growth in any way. And listen, if you're a defense and you got to know, we got to prepare for Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon.
Yeah,
it's definitely better.
Big bags.
Yeah, definitely better than the alternative.
Eric, you've stood next to Melvin Gordon.
Yep.
The man is a physical specimen.
Big guy.
He is just something else. And you remember that run he had for 65 yards, 70 yards, something against the Giants?
Yeah.
I mean, he's still got that burst. I just think that it's good to have talented players.
Of course.
And the running back position is one of those positions where 17 games, it's a long season, they get hit every single play. You just need some guys
You
there.
can't, if this were a rebuilding team with a rookie quarterback or
maybe you draft a guy.
Maybe you're looking at it differently. But when your goal here is to win the AFC West, which we've heard over and over and over again. Win the West. Win the West. Put yourself in position to win a Super Bowl. If that's the case, you can't let somebody get nicked for a game or two at any position be the difference between playoffs or no playoffs or the division or no division. You just can't let that happen.
And there's going to be injuries.
Of course.
I mean, that happens every single year.
I mean, you saw we don't know what happened to him, but you even saw certain guys during this non-padded voluntary mini camp not practice.
Little tweak, a little something.
So I like it. I enjoy Melvin.
Yeah.
He's an entertaining guy, fun to watch.
Will be interesting to see if he's around for the offseason program. In years past, he's worked out on his own in Miami.
For OTAs. He's been there for
the mandatory.
Yeah.
But with a new coaching staff, it'll be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah.
And who knows? I mean, maybe with a new coaching staff, they use him a little differently, and they're able to get even more out of him. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I think let's say that's an important point, Phil. Both of these guys should be better because the passing game should be better.
Yeah.
So you should not be able to just tee off on the running backs.
You play with a lead, you run the ball a little more.
Yeah, and just the linebackers have to play a couple steps deeper because of the play action threat from Russ. The corners can't crowd the line. Maybe you got to play more nickel. Run the ball. That's a better situation than last year where there were times when it was just they were daring Teddy to beat him through the air.
Eric, this wasn't on the neutral zone, but part of our TV previews for the draft.
Yep.
People didn't like that I said, this little guy, Russell Wilson. It was more like, hey, little guy, have you ever heard of this guy?
Yeah.
Kind of like that, kind of
they
like a playful. They thought I was referring to his height.
Oh, no, you would never do that.
No.
I
think that we've learned that height maybe not as important at playing quarterback.
Maybe the shorter the better.
It's possible. I was not referring to his height, so people just need to calm down a little bit.
Everybody relax.
I was saying hey, maybe you heard of this guy.
Yeah.
A little known guy.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say.
I got it.
Some people didn't get it. They were like, the Broncos should do better. And there were some other comments on last week's Neutral Zone. They were like,
Grumpies?
You represent the Denver Broncos.
Do you?
I was like, gosh. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I do. Eric, should we get to some voicemails?
Let's do it.
Let's start with our good friend, Tom Magnetti.
Gentlemen, what a wonderful episode of the Neutral Zone. This is your friend, Tom Magnetti. My wife is so excited about the next episode. She's wondering if we can get a early screening potentially. I haven't seen her this excited since Magic Mike. I really think perhaps what you should do is just wear the quarter zip it down, no shirt underneath, put a little beard oil in that chest hair, let it flow. And that's the only thing that could be any better than this upcoming draft to get everybody excited in MZ Nation. Have a great week. I can't wait to look forward to hear what we get. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of speculation. I've come to understand that George Payton, whatever he says, don't believe it. So maybe he is going to trade up. He's a tricky guy. Hope you guys had a great week, and talk to you soon. Bye.
Tom, thank you very much. As you may have seen, we got our shirts on this week.
Shirts on. I forgot the QZ this week.
You forgot the QZ, which was sort of...
It's getting a little toasty out,
I didn't know what you were doing.
A little toasty. Thought this was a nice shirt. I thought it was nice.
Yeah. I guess we'll allow it.
But Tom has a good point. You never quite know what George Payton is going to do.
Correct. He plays his cards very close to the vest.
Right. Nobody really had any sense that Russell Wilson was on the table until right before. There were some whispers after Rodgers announced, like, oh, maybe the Broncos are targeting Russell Wilson, but that was the news broke very shortly after.
Yeah.
There was never conversation really about that.
Even George mentioned that it was crucial that kind of information didn't leak.
Right.
So,
you're welcome.
Yeah. You knew, of course.
Well, I was instrumental in the deal getting done.
Yeah.
They wanted to trade. The Seahawks wanted me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They said, we want a good web guy. And George said, non-negotiable, kind of on the no-trade list.
Yeah. Plus, you have a no-trade clause, so you could have just
I could have vetoed the whole thing.
Yeah,
could have taken it all to the ground.
Yeah. And what was your reasoning for not wanting that?
Yeah, this is you want to see things through.
Yeah.
Plus,
all of our episodes.
Yeah, that would have been tough.
Would have to be over Zoom.
Yeah, how would we have even done that?
I don't know. Yeah, long distance.
Half of it would have had to be about the Seahawks. Half would have been about the Broncos.
Yeah.
So
oftentimes, long distance, it's tough to make that work.
Right.
Yeah.
So we sent Ben Swanson there instead. He's in Seattle. We hear he's loving it.
Yeah, he big rain guy. He
loves the rain. Oh my God. Because it helps plants grow.
It does. Yeah, and with all the green, it's nice to paint. He's just kind of thrown out. Like, we have a lot of snow here, obviously, so some whites, some grays. He's kind of gotten rid of that completely. The full saturation. Yeah, there, green, blue. Yeah, Yeah, his palette. It's just beautiful. Changed. Yeah, red for the Pike's Place. He has mailed us a couple of. He traded Pike's Peak for Pike's Place. Yeah, we miss that guy, but I think we like having Russ more. Big coffee guy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Russ comes down to the digital office once in a while. Yeah. His office just around the corner from ours. So of course, he's just doing work in there all the time. Who gets here first? Because Russ mentioned this week that he gets to the facility around 5:15. Yeah, I don't know why he gets here so late. Yeah, what do you think he's doing? Like, because we're always like, is Russ here yet? Yeah. Because we at like 4 a.m. we get one in at the gym, Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get to our second voicemailer, a first-time caller, Eric.
What's up, guys? This is Will. I'm a Colorado native. Love the Broncos. Love your guys' show. You just wanted callers to call in if you heard about the show on a different podcast. I heard about it on the podcast called Gone. Very excited to learn about it. I've been listening to everyone nonstop. You guys are great. Keep up the good work. Go Broncos.
All right. First-time caller and heard about our show while listening to another podcast. Podcastception. That's pretty good. How do you think? I don't even know how that works. Have you heard our commercial? It's pretty good. It's pretty funny. It's nice. Yeah, we make a couple of jokes in there. Two-way goes, that kind of talk. You know what I mean? That's serious stuff. Yeah. So anyway, we appreciate the call, and thanks for checking us out. If you listen to one Neutral Zone, you're hooked. You're hooked. You're part of NZ Nation. First person to check you out in a while, or what? I don't know what you're talking about, Eric. Let's get to shout-outs. I think it's time to get to shout-outs. So you want to shout out anybody? I'm going to shout out our friend Nick Kosmider. Ooh, from The Athletic. From The Athletic, I know him. He took a listen to the Neutral Zone. I think he's now a member of NZ Nation. He said, think so. He wondered how we talked about the draft for 45 minutes last week. I wondered the same thing. We could talk 90 minutes. Yeah, we can keep going. Yeah. He said it was 60% Seinfeld-esque. That's a big compliment. I didn't ask him if he liked Seinfeld. I think in general people like that show. Yeah. Okay, so shout out to Nick. A show about nothing. Yeah, that's kind of a podcast about nothing. That's sort of the origins of this show. So right. Yeah. Of course, shout out Liz Gerald's. Oh yeah. The work in the community never stops. How could it? And hopefully if the Broncos pick some of these guys, they've listened to the Neutral Zone. They know about the community. Because right when they get here, there's Rookie Day. They just get to work. You better be ready. They're like, I got to learn the playbook and, coach. But Nope. You get to the Boys and Girls Club. That's right. Yeah. You put some care packages together right now. Exactly. Or else. I got one more. Oh. Sorry. Can I do two? Well, we were talking about our friend. Should we check with Ben Swanson? Well, I was going to give a shout out to Ben Swanson out in Seattle. I hope he's enjoying it up there. Yeah, I think so. The weather. Nice. Yeah. It seems like it's been nice lately. I heard he was staying at Russ's house until he sells it. No, I think he was trying to buy it. Oh, he was trying to buy it. Yeah. He was like,
he wasn't going to pay cash. He was like, I'm going to give you two original paintings.
Yeah,
and then you can have my house.
Probably.
Yeah, I think they're still negotiating.
Russ might come out ahead on that one.
He could. I mean, those things are just appreciating. You think the Denver housing market is crazy?
Yeah,
you should see the oil painting art
that market.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Russ didn't seem to have a problem to find a house here.
No,
he was just like, I'll take that one.
I think that's how it works when the budget is the way it is.
Can you explain that to me? How
I can't really.
When the budget is
high.
That high.
Yeah. Like, do you think he was like, could we knock it down to like 24.5?
Yeah, do you haggle in that situation, or what do you think? Yeah,
I think he probably just, it's like sticker price, you're good with it.
What about an inspection on a house like that? They're like,
that could take days.
The floorboards on the basketball court aren't exactly.
Yeah. The second game room, the sauna in there.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite get up to 105.
The pool on the third floor, there might be some structural issues.
The waterfall's not quite working.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we gotta get a pump for the waterfall. Yeah, then you haggle. You're like, I want that money.
I want that pump for the waterfall paid for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. His people, they take care of all that, right?
They take care of that, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Well, I think this is gonna do it for our show. I mean, the draft is coming up. We'll be working on Thursday night, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Maybe.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
A little bit excited. Just because, there's a little bit of unknown. You got to be awake in case the Broncos.
That's true. You got to be ready to go.
Yeah, you got to be ready.
What if they trade up to number 1 overall? That could be wild.
What would that take? That would take all of this year's picks, all of next year's picks.
I don't know.
And all of the year after that.
Yeah.
And all for who knows who. There's not even.
Exactly.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us. For Eric Delisle, I'm Phil Milani. You've been listening to
The Neutral Zone.